What is up, you guys? It's your girl Hannah Hatter. Welcome back to the Tea Party. Today we are back with Entitled Parents number 3. Now this time we got a short one, we got a bit of a medium one, and we got us an extra long one. So get prepared for this because they get wild. Mom threatens to disown her own child over a hair color. This happened when I was about 16, and I'm not sure if it counts as an entitled parent, but I still laugh about this encounter with my friends. I used to dye my hair a lot, and when I first dyed it, it was bright red. Anyway, I was on the bus to college listening to music on my headphones. During a song transition, I look up and see EM, entitled Mum, and EK, embarrassed kid, staring at me. I pause my music so I can listen to what they're saying, as they were quite clearly talking about me. The EM points at me and says, "If you ever dye your hair like that, I'll disown you." About 5 stops before I get off the bus, and being socially awkward, I didn't want to cause a scene, so I waited until the bus got to its destination, and it turns out that they were getting off at the same stop. I turned to EM before I went to get off the bus and said, "If you're going to disown your child of the color of their hair, you're not fit to be a parent." And then smiled at her kid, who looked really embarrassed at the whole ordeal, and got off the bus, laughing myself the entire walk to college. Now, I don't think that this is really an entitled parent story, because my mom has said stuff like that, and she's usually kidding. But still, if you're going to disown your kid because they decide they want to change their hair, you got bigger problems than the color of their hair. Entitled mom wants me to hand my gun to entitled kid. Excuse me, what? So a bit of backstory. I work for an event firm where we mostly do medieval fantasy type events. Monsters, elven princesses, heroic knights in shining armor, etc. Sounds fun. But on every so occasion we get hired for modern stuff. Usually either as scientists or military personnel. Castless. Me is me. EK, entitled kid. EM, entitled mom. SC, scientist. We had gotten hired for a city fair kind of thing in a city that has lots of focus on the UN climate goals, so the company that I work at were hired to bring 4 people, 2 scientists, and 2 environmental policemen, myself being a police. So I bring my rifle and pistol, of course with all my necessary paperwork, to the event, so I show up there, meet with my colleagues, and we dress up. Full uniform, vest, pistol by my hip, and rifle over my chest. I go with one scientist, and the other officer goes with the other. Our job is pretty easy. Walk around, talk to people about the environment, and what sort of things people can do better. Of course, a lot of people ask me about my guns, and as this is all a big show we put on, I of course tell them that my guns are real and loaded. Which they ain't. Most people seem to believe me and believe that I was in fact a police officer from the UN Environmental Commission, and the day is going along pretty well until entitled kid, about 12 years old, shows up. "Holy crap, those guns are cool!" I have a lot of Gucci gear that I slap on my rifles for these kinds of things. Lights, lasers, grips, flight sights, etc. Well, we start the usual. "What? Why are you having guns? Have you ever shot someone? What does this thing do?" etc. type of conversations. "Can I hold your gun?" "Nope, these are dangerous tools that should only be handled by those who know how." "But I know how to use a gun. I've played thousands of hours of Battlefield." Playing a video game ain't the same as using a gun in real life. EK gets mad and runs off. Scientists asked what that was about, so I give him a brief when suddenly entitled mom comes walking. I didn't notice entitled kid to begin with, but I quickly saw him and realized what was going to happen. "Why won't you let my son hold your guns?" "Because, ma'am, as I told your son, guns aren't toys, and they should only be handled by—" "Stop talking to me like I'm a child! I'm older than you, lad, and I'm telling you that my son knows how to use a gun. He plays all those shooter games." "Ma'am, I'd prefer if you didn't call me lad. And yes, it's quite likely that you're older than me, but that doesn't change the fact that I know how dangerous guns can be, and your son is just simply not trained in how to use one." The conversation continued for a while, and I must admit, I got pretty angry in the end. And suddenly, I feel a harsh tug on my pistol holder. I turn around, and lo and behold, entitled kid was trying to snatch my pistol from the holster. Fortunately, he doesn't know how pistol holsters work, so he didn't know where to find the button that allows you to actually draw the pistol. So I grab his hand and yank it away from my gun. EM begins screaming, but quite frankly, I paid her little mind as I told EK to never touch a firearm without permission. He, of course, starts He, of course, begins to cry, and EM gets all up in my face and starts screaming at me. At this point, I am very angry and begin screaming back at her. I'm 193 centimeters tall and weigh about 110 kilograms. Correct me if I'm wrong on those measurements. And I ain't sure whether my size scared her or she just never had anybody yell at her. Either way, she got quiet as I yelled about how her kid could have gotten himself or someone else killed by doing what he did, as well as explaining how Call of Duty and Battlefield didn't teach anything about guns, with several curse words sprinkled in there. Sounds like a cupcake. At this point, the on-site security comes running over and asks what's going on, so I turn around and tell them how EK tried to take my gun. EM screams about how I assaulted her as well as EK. Fortunately, as she says this, about 10 people around us more or less goes, "Nuh-uh," in unison. Several of the people around us explain to the security what has happened, so EM and EK get escorted away. Then, out of the blue, comes the other scientist and police officer, only having heard me screaming my lungs out. The other scientist, who is also my boss, was obviously quite worried, but security was still there to explain what had happened. Ended up with my boss not wanting real firearms for these events anymore. Even if unloaded, they're as safe as any prop gun we could use, but if it's a prop gun or airsoft, it's easily replaceable with insurance, which a real firearm very certainly is not. Folks, let's talk about gun safety for a minute. First off, never steal a policeman's gun. He is faster than you. Secondly, hours and hours of Battlefield and Call of Duty do not make you any better at guns. You know what it's good for? It's good for your thumbs. Keep your thumbs moving. You exercise them. You're not exercising your brain that you need to use when learning how to shoot a gun. And this mom is an idiot, because she clearly thinks she's right. And she thinks she knows more about guns than, I don't know, a trained officer. Even if it was unloaded, that is still incredibly dangerous. I hope that mom got into a lot of trouble. Okay, so it's a long one. It's actually a 2-part story. That's why it's so long. But I had to find the whole one just because it was so crazy. Entitled kid and entitled parent forces disabled friend to walk. An entitled parent's husband tries to arrest him. This one happened to my friend who has cerebral palsy. I wasn't at the incident, but he told me about it. P.S. English is my first language and I am on PC, so make fun of me if I get anything wrong, lol. Me. So my friend and his other buddies went to the local supermarket to pick up a few things for a hangout at one of their homes. My friend has a wheelchair, but he forgot to bring it with him, so his friends supported him. When he got to the store on the outside, had a little area for disabled people to retrieve a wheelchair if needed. My friend wanted to do some independent shopping, so he really wanted one. However, here's the twist. All the other wheelchairs were being used inside, and there was one outside. A kid was running around with his mother, who was on the phone near the area. The kid was around 5, my friend thinks. His father bid farewell to his mother, and then he went inside the store to pick up some stuff whilst his wife and kid waited outside. My friend struggled a bit to walk to the wheelchair, and as he was going to touch it, the kid touched it and shrieked, "No! It's mine!" Now to introduce the cast. EK, entitled kid. EM, entitled mother. EF, entitled father. DF, disabled friend. S, security guard. When the little boy shrieked, the disabled friend laughed it off, thinking kids will be kids, you know. When he tried touching him, the kids then shouted, "Get off my chair, weirdo!" The kid then climbed up it and sat down. "Hey, little guy, I need that chair." "No, you're a grown-up. You don't need chairs." DF then chuckled at EK's statement. "You're right, but I am a sick grown-up. That chair helps me move around. Now, please get up." At this point, DF was standing for a while and started to lose balance, and the last thing he needed was to fall onto the concrete floor. He grabbed the chair's armrest to restore his balance. EK then went utterly berserk. "Stop! This is my chair!" EK then slaps my friend on the hand and then causes him to lose balance. Luckily, he grabbed hold of the store wall. DF then yelps in agony as the slap from his words really hurt. EM saw this occur and stomped straight to DF. "Hi, I heard you and my son shouting. Did anything bad happen?" DF then explains everything to EM. EM actually seemed quite nice and understanding at first, but then she said, "Well, little EK really wants that chair, and you look like a grown 18-year-old to me. I don't get why you need the chair." "Ma'am, I have cerebral palsy. I need that chair to move around." "Cerebral whatsy? That's not a disease. Sounds made up. You teenagers are just trying to get benefits from the government.
Be a man and walk. EK is very tired. We had to walk from address A to store, and he has priority to that chair, unlike your lying self. Now DF was pretty pissed off, and address A was barely a 5-minute walk to the store. DF thought her point was that toddlers get tired easily, but a 5-year-old was not getting tired by walking like 15 yards. 0.008 miles, yeah, barely a 5-minute walk. No, ma'am, I'm going to get the chair. I have a right to. Please take your kid out, or I'll have to call security. Did you just threaten me? Don't you know who I am? My husband is a police officer and can kick your arse out if you use such words. Now here's where the poo hits the fan. DF had lost balance once again and was going to fall into hard concrete, desperate for anything to hold on to. And without thinking, he held onto EM's shoulder. Ew, this is rape! It assault, you pervert! EM then proceeds to push DF and he falls. He falls and hurts himself badly. DF shrieks in agony. Hello, I need assistance! He's trying to rape me! He tried to rape me! I require assistance now! She shouts for the entire area to hear. EM's entitled husband, hears her screams from the cashier counter in the store, rushes the transaction, and hurries outside. What happened, darling? This man tried to rape me! He touched my skin! He's clearly a rapist and a pervert and must be arrested! I know you're off your shift, but place him under arrest! DF was still on the ground, obviously in utter pain. Darling, are you sure this kid tried to rape you? Yes, honey, I'm sure. Yeah, Daddy! This weird guy put his hand on Mom and fell! What a loser! DF, although still on the concrete ground in a terrible pain, uttered, I didn't do anything wrong! Yeah, sure, you druggie. You tried to sexually assault my wife, huh? Just be shocked when I see the camera footage and I send you off to the police department, eh? Good Daddy! Daddy's a super policeman! Ian puts the largest, smuggest grin on her face. DF says, This is what you get for messing with me and my baby. Just this as EF is picking up / dragging DF inside the store. EF, as soon as he sees the closest employee, trudges to them. Hello, I'm a police officer. Showing a badge, stating his badge number and all that stuff. And I am in need to speak with the head of the store. Please get me the store manager. Alright, sir. Please wait here. A minute passes and DF and the family sees the store manager, SG, walk out of the office door towards them. Hello, sir. I'm Officer EF, badge number, and department name. I am of suspicion that this man, points at DF, lying on the store floor, has sexually assaulted this woman, points at EM, and would like to justify my suspicion by investigating the security cameras if you permit me to. Sure, officer. Please follow me. SG leads EF, EM, EK, and poor DF into the security office, where all the cameras can be accessed by a computer. Let me check the security camera near the wheelchair access area if that is available. Yes, sir. DF never saw the camera footage as he was sitting on the floor, but he saw the embarrassment on EF's face. EM still had a, see, I just won the case face, but EF was nervous. Honey, the kid didn't do that on purpose. Probably has an illness that made him stumble, and I dragged an innocent teenager for no reason at all. What was EK doing on that chair anyways? EM became furious. EK, whilst not understanding most of his father's words, knew one thing. DF was not going to jail. Daddy, why isn't this man going to jail? EF, I do not care! At least arrest him for the disturbance of public peace! You disturbed the peace, EM. I can't believe I'm lecturing my wife. No! This druggie is just on drugs. He can walk perfectly. Look, I'll give him some stimulation to walk. EM was getting ready to kick, but the SG and EF held her back while she struggled. EM, get out of the store and get in the car unless you want your own husband to arrest you. Okay, this moment was really scary for DF. One, EM was getting ready to kick, basically stimulated his heart alright. Despite cerebral palsy, he actually attempted to go into a fighting stance, but when EF and SG held EM back, he relaxed. And EF wasn't the bad guy he thought he was. EF was now known as KF, kind father. EM, still furious as F, shrieked, Fine! But don't you expect a happy marriage from now on! EM grabbed EK and stormed off, red in the face. SG stayed silent, staring at EF. I'm so sorry, kid. I'll take you to the clinic. Come on, that fall must have hurt you bad. Story short, KF took EF to the clinic and he had a few bruises and some pain, but he was alright. After about a month, everything was relatively back to normal. DF and KF actually stayed in contact for a while, and KF is thinking of filing for divorce because of that incident and for her being a total B at home. What do you guys think? Any questions? And I'll answer here in the edits. Thanks! Where does the entitlement end?
let's start with this. This guy is clearly struggling to stand. I don't know how he was standing in the first place. As far as I know, cerebral palsy, you need to remain in a wheelchair at all times, but I don't know that much about the disease, so I can't judge. Secondly, this mom screams rape because this guy fell, and then she called him a druggie, even though he is a kid. At least the husband was ready to defend his wife, because, he didn't see what happened. I feel like we can let him off, even though he was a little entitled at the beginning. But because he thought that his wife got raped, he was on her side. You know what? No problem. Stay on the rape victim's side until further evidence is proven that she's not actually the rape victim. I'm all for it, as long as somebody gets some justice. But see, she was not a rape victim, and he did the right thing. And I hope he does file for divorce, gets the kid, and then takes the kid and tells him how to be a proper human being. Because that mom clearly ain't doing it. I also hope that disabled friend is really okay. He sounds like a really friendly guy, and I'm actually really proud of him for trying to do that on his own. I know a lot of disabled people really struggle with that sort of thing, and I think it's really cool when they do stuff like that by themselves. It's just really cool. Alright guys, that was r/entitled parents part 3. Let me know below how you feel about this. And would your mother ever disown you for the color of your hair? My mom's gonna let me dye it like a titanium kind of silver looking thing, so I'd stay tuned for that. Yeah, also leave a comment if there's any specific stories you want to hear. I'm thinking of actually starting a Reddit myself. I mean, I have a Reddit obviously, but I'm thinking of starting a Reddit page so that if you guys want to leave stories you specifically want me to read, you can do that. Also waving my hands, but you can't see me. Anyways, I hope you have a fabulous week and a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you guys Saturday. Goodbye!